Good morning, student. Welcome to Class BA Part 2, Paper 3. We will resume our textual reading of Where the World by William Congreve. We'll start from Scene 5. Scene 5 sums up the reaction of the news that arrives via a letter to Witwoud that his stepbrother, Sir Wilful, is arriving London from country. Immediately, Mirabell and Fenall starts gossiping about him, and the reader gets the idea of the general attitude of city people regarding the country gentleman. Both of them makes fun of Sir Wilful's decision of undertaking a continental tour to Europe. It was customary at that time to travel round when a gentleman comes of age, but Sir Wilful is too old to take such adventure. So these two men uh, starts making fun of him, especially Fenall, who is related to Wilful due to marriage with Wilful's cousin, feels embarrassed to be connected thus. Mirabell will also be connected to the person, so Wilful, once he gets married to Millamant. So thus both of them laughs at him and also in their peculiar situation. They also discuss the features and attributes of Sir Wilful, who is actually a good-natured fellow, but above the affectations and superficiality of the city people. But according to the gentlemen of the Darden society, he is not fit for their companion, fit to be their companion. They consider him to be a fool and differentiates his foolishness from the other fools like his half-brother Witwoud. So let's begin scene 5. Mirabell, Fenall and Betty. Mirabell. What is the chief of the noble family in town? So Wilful Witwoud. So he is called the chief of the noble family of Lady Wishford. Fenall. He is expected today. Do you know him? Mirabell. I've seen him. He promises to be an extraordinary person. Here, the use of extraordinary is not a compliment to the person. I think you have the honor to be related to him. Fenall. Yes, he is half brother to this Witwoud by a former wife, who was sister to my Lady Wishford, my wife's mother. If you marry Millamant, you must call cousins too. Mirabell. I had rather be his relation than his acquaintance. So Mirabell says that he would prefer to be his relative rather than his acquaintance to, come face to face to be familiar with him. Fenall. He comes to town in order to equip himself for travel. Mirabell. For travel? Why, the man that I mean is above 40. So you know that now we get the age of the Wilful Witwoud, that he is above 40 and it is not an age to take such travel or continental tour. Fenall. No matter for that. It's for the honor of England that all Europe should know we have blockheads, that means fools of all ages. So Fenall and Mirabell now they engage in a very intellectual repartee regarding his tour to Europe, that it is the honor of England that people will know, the whole Europe will know that England also produces you know fools. Mirabell. I wonder there is not an act of parliament to save the credit of the nation and prohibit the exportation of fools. Fenall. So Mirabell says that I wonder that he suggests that there should be an act in the parliament to restrict such person to go outside, so that so that the nation's reputation will be saved. Phenol. By no means it's better to trade with a little loss than to be quite eaten up with being overstocked. So see, with a beautiful metaphor, they are talking in terms of as if exportation and importation. They are suggesting that how the fools are not good for for the society or for the nation's health, And Fanon suggests it's better to trade some, foolish person outside, to export some foolish person outside, so that uh, England will be saved from being overstocked with such fools. Mirabell. Pray, are the follies of this errant and those of the squire, his brother, anything related? Now Mirabell asks whether the foolishness of Sir Wilful is same as his brother Witwoud. Now Fennel says no, not at all. Witwoud grows by the night like a medlar grafted on a crab. So Witwoud and night, here night means, so willful is differentiated. Their foolishness is differentiated, that one is like meddler and another is like crab. So these are two forms of apple. One will melt in your mouth and the other set your teeth on edge. One is all pulp and the other all core. Now Fennel says that one is like a meddler apple who is too ripe, too sweet, and another is like a crab apple which is too sour. So their foolishness is thus beautifully compared with apple, and like with this metaphor they explain. Mirabell. So one will be rotten before he be ripe, and the other will be rotten without ever being ripe at all. So see, we can see that how the aristocratic people, they are capable of in engaging intellectual conversation, and they use rhetorical languages while talking. So here metaphorically this thing explained again, like the foolishness of so willful is compared with exportation and importation. So here Mirabell says that one is too ripe, that is like meddler, he is too ripe, and before he will be ripe he'll be rotten because he is too sweet, and Witwoud will be rotten without ever being ripe at all because he is so sour. His wit is, or his foolishness is so sour. So Fennel says, so willful is an odd mixture of bashfulness and obstinacy. But when he is drunk, he is as loving as the monster in the Tempest. So we know that he is talking about Caliban in Shakespeare's famous play, The Tempest. So this is a literary allusion. And much after the same manner. So they are all, uh, gentlemen, and they are acquainted with famous dramas, and much after the same manner. To give brother his due, he has something of good nature and does not always want wit. So now Sir Wilful's character is summed up like he is odd mixture of bashfulness and obstinacy, but and when he is drunk, he is like Caliban, he is out of control, and he is different from Witwoud in this sense that he is better natured than Witwoud, and he is not always in lack of wit like Witwoud. So he is a good person. Mirabell, not always, but as often as his memory fails him. Now the conversation turns to the characterization of Witwoud, you can say. So they are talking about now Witwoud. That the Witwoud is not always bad as often as his memory fails him, and his commonplace of comparisons. He is a fool with a good memory and some few scraps of others' folks' wits. That means Witwoud who wants to be a wit, but he always lacks words or comparison, and this and borrow from others' conversation. And we'll see this in later. He is one whose conversation can never be approved, yet it is now and then to be endured. So Witwoud is a kind of person who is not capable of good conversation, and it should not be approved by a gentleman, but it has to be endured. It has to be tolerated. He has indeed one good quality. He is not exceptious. For he so passionately affects the reputation of understanding raillery that he will construe an affront into a jest. But he has one good quality, that is, he is unable to understand criticism, raillery, and that's why he will translate insult into a joke and call downright rudeness and ill language satire and fire. So they are capable of differentiating, Witwoud is capable of differentiating satire and fire from rudeness and ill language. Phenon, if you have a mind to finish this picture, You have an opportunity to do it as full length. Behold the original. Now, as soon as Mirabel concludes his, understanding of Witwoud's character, Fenor says that if you have a mind to finish his picture, now if you want to complete the picture of, picturization of Witwoud, now you have the opportunity because Witwoud himself have, you know, he has come. So behold, see the original. So now here the scene 5 ends and scene 6 begins. So scene 6 is a continuation of the above discussions as Witwoud enters asking for sympathy for his half brother whom he is embarrassed of is coming that day. We finally behold Witwoud who has been talked about by Mirabel and Fenol. Now, as he joins the conversation, we witness his lack of wit to understand the inner meaning of the two men's bantering. So, Witwoud speaks in a manner that expresses his willingness to be a perfect Londoner. He compliments Fenol to have a happy marriage life and unknowingly comments rudely on his wife. He, in a way, indirectly suggests that he has a relationship with his wife. So, Witwoud often complains to have poor memory when he fails to match the intellectual conversation of his companions. Then the conversation turns to Petulant, who won money from Witwoud in a card game. Now, Fenol and Mirabel tries to make Witwoud speak about Petulant, especially about his vices. They complimented him to be the wittier one amongst the two. Witwoud, though, shows that he is unwilling to talk wrong about his friend, finally gives in and starts insulting him in his effort to hide his flaws. He reveals that Petulant is a master liar. So here, scene 6 begins. To them, Witwoud, afford me your compassion, my dears. Pity me, Fenol, Mirabel, pity me. She's asking for sympathy. Mirabel, I do, from my soul. Fenol, why? What's the matter? Witwoud, no letters for me, Betty. Betty, did not a messenger bring you one? But now, sir? I, but no other? Betty, no, sir. Witwoud, that's hard, that's very hard. A messenger, a mule, a beast of burden. He has brought me a letter from the fool, my father, brother. So now, see how, what kind of languages, Witwoud uses for his brother who resides in, elder brother, step brother, and elder brother who resides in a countryside. Fool, my brother, as heavy as a penny creek in a funeral sermon. So he says that the letter itself is, uh, you know, uh, it is emotionally charged and it is as heavy as a pennygrate as a funeral sermon or a copy of commendatory verses from one poet to another. And what's worse, it's as sure as a forerunner of the author as an epistle dictionary. So we see that in this conversation he uses three comparisons, which comparisons are obviously the simile you can say, but the similes are not fit. Uh, they are heavy, but they are not fit to explain the situation. Mirabel, a fool, and your brother, Witwoud. Now Mirabel starts, pulling his leg that a fool and is your brother. So your brother is fool. That means you are half brother. So there's a chance that you are also a fool. Witwoud, my half brother. Now he corrects Mirabel that my brother, but he's not my own brother. He's half brother. My half brother, he is no nearer upon honor, and he tries to say that he is not in nearer relation. But we know that half brother is a very close relation. So Mirabel says then it's possible he may be but half a fool. So half brother, so he would be half a fool. We do it. Good, Mirabel. They don't right? Good. Hang him. Don't let's talk of him. Venol, how does your lady? Now Witwoud is embarrassed of his brother and wants to avoid any conversation regarding, engaging willful and diverts the conversation towards Fenol. So Fenol, how does your lady? That is, how is your wife? God, I say anything in the world to get this fellow out of my head. So now what he talks is he's talking about Fenol's wife. So this is a very, this is not a very, it's a rude comment, you can say. that I beg pardon that I should ask a man of pleasure and of the town a question at once, so foreign and domestic. So it is unmannerly, unsophisticated to ask a man about his wife in this society. But I talk like an old maid at a marriage. So again, we see Witwoud is using a simile that he is comparing himself with a old maid at a marriage who speaks much. I don't know what I say, but he is the best woman in the world, and says that Mrs. Fenol is the best woman. Now, this comment also is a very rude comment. Why? Fenol reacts. It's well, you don't know what you say. Fenol says that it's well, it's good for you that you are a fool, you don't know what you are saying, or else your commendation, your compliments would go near to make me either vain or jealous. Because you are not the person to say or judge my wife, and if you can judge her as the best woman, that means you know my wife in a better way. That means you have a relationship with my wife. So this is the inner meaning. No man in town lives with a wife but Fenol. No man in the town lives well with a wife but Fenol. Your judgment, Mirabel? Now we to avoid the situation says that no man in town is that Phenol and Mrs. Phenol is having a very good marriage relationship. Your judgment, Mirabel, and Mirabel says you had better step and ask his wife if you would be credibly informed. Now Mirabel suggests that if you want to know the correct answer, you must ask his wife whether he is happy with Phenol or not. We do. Mirabel, we do. My dear, I asked 10,000 pardons. God, I have forgot what I was going to say. So we have already, informed by Mirabel that we would, often, fails, his memory fails him often. So we see here that he forgot what he was going to say, or he does not have a fit answer to this. Mirabel, I thank you heartily. We do. We did. No, but Prithvi, excuse me, my memory is such a memory. Mirabel says, have a care of such apologies. We did, for I never knew a fool, but he affected to complain either of the spleen or his memory. So Mirabel, you know, uh, says to Witwoud that you must not apologize for your memory because a fool only complains about his poor memory. Fenol, what have you done with Petulant? Witwoud, he is reckoning his money. Now the conversation turns to Petulant, Witwoud's companion and friend. Witwoud said that he is uh, counting the money. My money it was. I have no luck today, and that money is won from Witwoud by Petulant in the card game. Just like Fenol won the match from and the money from Miracle. Fenol, you may allow him to win of you at play, for you are sure to be too hard for him at repartee. Now, Fenol takes the uh, opportunity to falsely compliment him of his wit and take out the matter. You're too hard of him at repartee. Since you monopolize the wit that is between you, so we can sense the irony behind this sentence, that since you monopolize the wit that is between you, the fortune must be his, of course. Since Witwoud is the wittier one of the two, so fortune, the money should be with Petulant. Mirabel, I don't find that Petulant confesses superiority of wit to be your talent, Witwoud. Witwoud, come, you are malicious now, and would breed debates. Now, Mirabel suggests that Petulant never gives Witwoud the compliment, but Witwoud tries to, he refuses to acknowledge it and says that you are becoming malicious, Miracle. Petulance, my friend and very honest fellow and very pretty fellow, and has a smattering faith and truth. A pretty deal of an odd sort of small wit. Nay, he is a small wit, he lacks wit, but he is not a bad fellow. I'll do him justice. I'm his friend, I won't wrong him, and if he had any judgment in the world, he would not be altogether contemptible. Come, don't detract, don't criticize him. criticize or detract from the merits of my friend. Phenol, you don't take your friend to be over nicely bred. We did no, hang him. The rogue has no manners at all. So now see, you can see the contradiction here. He says that he is a good friend of him, and Mirabel must not, satirize him. Or and now and then he says that no more breeding than a bum belly, that I grant you. It's pity. The fellow has fire and life. Mirabel, what courage? Faith. I don't know. As to that, I can say as to that, yes, faith. In a controversy, he will contradict anybody. Now they are trying to find out, Fenol and Mirabel, what is the main flaw of, Petulant. And in the process of hiding his folly, Witwoud exposes everything. So, what courage? He says that yes, I faith controversy. He will contradict anybody. That he contradicts anybody. Now, this is true that he contradicts anybody in a conversation. He never agrees with anyone. So, Mirabel, though it were a man whom he feared or a woman whom he loved, well, he does not always think before he speaks. Now, another folly of his of Petulant is, coming out, that he does not always think before he speaks. He never speaks thinking before it. So we have all our failings. You are too hard upon him. You are faith. Let me excuse him. I can defend most of his faults except one or two. One he has, that's the truth on it. If he were my brother, I could not acquit him. That indeed I could wish were otherwise. Mirabel, I am merry. What's that we do? And what's that particular fault? We did. Oh, pardon me. Expose the infirmities of my friend. How could I expose my friend's folly? No, my dear, excuse me there. I cannot do that. Phenol, what? I warrant he is insincere, or it's some such trifle. Then Phenol says, then it will be very, trifle, very trivial matter. That's why you are not exposing it. We do. No. What if we it's not matter for that. His wit will excuse that. A wit should no more be sincere than a woman constant. So if he is unsincere, Pranav says, then wit says that he must not be, sincere always. One argues a decay of part as the other of beauty. So here again he uses a simile, and that is that engaging woman, and that's not very gentlemanlike. Mirable. Maybe you think him too positive. No, his being positive is an incentive to argument and keeps up conversation. Phenol, too illiterate. Widowed. That's his happiness, his want of learning. So Phenol and Mirabel goes on suggesting that this might be the fault or that. So he might be illiterate. And Widowed says that no, if he is illiterate, that's good for him because it's give him the opportunity to show his natural path. Mirabel, he wants words Widowed I, but I like him for that now. He lacks words, but Widowed even likes for it. Likes him for this lack of for his lack of words, because his lack of words gives Vitu the pleasure very often to explain the meaning. So it gives a chance to Vitu to expose his wit. Phenol, he's impudent. Vitu, no, that's not it. Mirable, vain. Vitu, no. So they go on suggesting one or the other folly, and he goes on defending him. Mirable, what? He speaks unseasonable truths sometimes because he has no wit enough to invent an evasion. So now finally Mirabel suggests that he might, lie very badly because he could not invent, better lies. We do truths, ha ha ha. No. Since you will have it, I mean, he never speaks truth at all. That's all. So we would finally say that he he seldom speaks truth, petulant. He always speaks lies, and that's what he meant all the time. He will lie like a chambermaid. So here lie is like there's a pun in the word lie, and also you can see he uses simile. He lie, that means he speaks falsehood like a chambermaid or a woman of qualities potter. Now that is a fault. So this is his fault, that he lies very much. And in the next chapter, in the next scene, we will see how he, petulant lies and what game he is up to. So Petulant and Witwoud provides the comic element in the play. Both lacks wit and conversational skill that makes them laughable. Through the portrayal of these two characters called fools, Congreve satirized the affectation of such fop characters who cares much about being fashionable. Thank you. So in the next class, we'll begin scene 7.